Let the weight of the day flow from your shoulders like warm rain sliding down glass. Breathe deeply and allow your mind to find its natural center, like a stone that sinks gently to the tranquil bed of a lake. We are about to cross the threshold of time, walking through the golden mists of twilight to a place where hours move like warm honey, where each moment carries the gentle weight of ancestral wisdom. A small English cottage from the 18th century, silent guardian of generations of lives lived in harmony with the eternal rhythms of nature. This is not merely a place, it is a state of being, a sanctuary where time is not measured by clock hands, but by the slow rising of bread dough, by the hypnotic rhythm of knitting needles, by the dance of shadows on stone walls. Here, you are not a visitor, but heir to a peace cultivated over centuries. Close your eyes and feel the layers of the present dissolve like sugar in rain. You are descending gently through the mists of time, carried by the gentle current of a serenity that transcends epochs, arriving at a place where your soul can finally rest. The late afternoon sun paints the English sky with brushstrokes of amber and coral, as if a divine artist were tempering the colors of day with the gentle promise of night. You emerge from a winding path flanked by dry stone walls, each stone chosen and placed by hands that knew intimately the weight of earth and the whisper of wind. The cottage appears before you like a gentle revelation, not imposed upon the landscape, but grown from it, as if the hills themselves had dreamed of a home and manifested it in golden limestone and woven thatch. The walls breathe with the patina of time, each crack and stain telling silent stories of storms weathered, summers caressed, winters sheltered. The thatched roof is not simply covering, but ancestral artwork. Each bundle was harvested at the right moon, dried in the correct sun, woven by hands that carried their grandparents' knowledge. Now, decades later, small birds nest among the golden layers, creating a morning symphony that awakens the cottage with songs that echo through centuries. An almost imperceptible mist hovers over the garden, not the common moisture of evening, but something more ethereal, as if the sighs of all souls who found peace here had crystallized in the air, creating an atmosphere of palpable tranquility that envelops you like an invisible shawl. The wooden gate does not merely creak, it sings a low, hoarse song, like an elder sharing secrets. Its wrought iron hinges were shaped by a blacksmith who knew not just metal, but the soul of the earth from which it came. The touch of the gate in your hands carries echoes of all others who passed here. Mothers returning from market, children running to embrace grandparents, lovers meeting under moonlight. The garden reveals itself in layers of meaning. On the surface, you see lavender swaying in ordered rows, its purple stems catching the last solar rays like small aromatic torches. But there is more. This lavender was planted by the hands of a young woman who is now a grandmother, each seedling carrying her hopes that future generations would find the same peace she discovered here. Ancient roses climb the walls like flowering guardians, their varieties forgotten by the modern world, but preserved here like living relics. Each flower carries genetics of roses that perfumed queens' gardens, that witnessed declarations of love, that consoled broken hearts with their immortal beauty. Their petals, when they fall, do not die, they transform into natural potpourri that perfumes the air with memories of eternal springs. Among the cultivated plants, wild herbs grow where they choose. Golden dandelions that will become medicinal wine in autumn, nettles that will become purifying tea, mallows that will heal wounds of both body and spirit. This is a garden that converses with wild nature, where the cultivated and spontaneous dance in perfect harmony. The very air here has different density, charged not just with oxygen, but with the breaths of generations. Each inhalation brings fragments of prayers murmured during plantings, children's laughter playing among flowers, sighs of contentment from souls who found their place in the world. The front door is more than wood and metal. It is a portal between states of consciousness. The oak was harvested from a centennial tree that witnessed the cottage's construction. Its wood so dense, it still exhales the green perfume of primordial forests. Each annual ring in the wood is a season lived, each fiber a prayer of slow growth and accumulated wisdom. The iron lock is not mere mechanism, but protective talisman forged by an artisan who understood that his work would guard not just possessions, but dreams. The metal was worked with salt from tears of joy, tempered with sacred spring water, polished with oil blessed by generations of loving hands. When you push the door, it does not merely open, it invites you to enter a deeper state of being. The sound of the latch touching the frame is like a Tibetan bell, a singular note that resonates through your consciousness, clearing mental noise and preparing your soul for what is to come. The interior reveals itself like a cosmic womb, protected, nurtured, charged with ancestral feminine energy. The floor stones were chosen not just for durability, but for their capacity to retain and radiate heat. Each stone was warmed by 1,000 fires, polished by 10,000 steps, blessed by countless moments of simple and meaningful life. The rugs scattered across the floor are not mere adornments, but textile mandalas. Each thread was spun during winter nights when women gathered, their conversations and laughter literally interwoven into the wall. The blue and white patterns are not decorative, they are symbolic maps. Blue for wisdom's depth, white for purity of intention, the interweavings representing how all lives connect in existence's great room. The ceiling beams form sacred geometry, their intersections creating power points where energies concentrate and radiate. Not by accident, wicker baskets hang from these exact points, some with herbs that heal the body, others with walls that warm the soul, all positioned according to ancient knowledge about how physical space can nourish spiritual being. The fireplace is not just a heat source, but domestic altar where sacred fire dances eternally. The stones of its construction were taken from a sacred riverbed, each one carrying memory of flowing water, deep time, mountain patience. The shelf above guards, not objects, but symbols. The clock represents human time in harmony with cosmic time. The candles symbolize inner light. The spice jars are offerings to senses that connect body and soul. She moves through the kitchen like a priestess in her temple, each gesture charged with intention and meaning. She is not just a woman preparing food. She is a guardian of ancient wisdoms, an intermediary between the practical world and the sacred realm. Her graying hair shows not age, but experience distilled into living silver. Each white thread is a lesson learned, a prayer answered, a moment of gratitude crystallized. Her white linen cap is not mere protection. It is earthly halo, crown of simplicity that marks her spiritual royalty. The fabric was spun from linen, cultivated in this same earth. Each fiber carrying the essence of sun that nurtured it, rain that watered it, hands that harvested it with reverence. The dark wool dress is gentle armor against the world's harshness, dyed with colors extracted from bark of trees that grow at the property's edges. It is not vanity, but connection. She dresses with the very landscape, becoming an integral part of the place's spiritual ecosystem. When she walks to the pantry, she is not simply seeking ingredients, but consulting an ancestral library of nourishment. Each ceramic jar is a scroll, each oat grain a verse in a prayer of sustenance. The handwritten labels are not mere identifiers, but mantras. Oats evokes golden fields swaying in wind. Honey invokes the sacred work of bees. Dried herbs whispers about time's alchemy, transforming life into medicine. The act of taking the oat jar transcends the mundane. Her hands do not merely hold ceramic, but connect with a lineage of women who made the same gesture, with the same intention, in the same sacred space. The jar's weight in her palms is the weight of tradition, of continuity, of trust that some rituals are eternal because they nourish something deeper than the body. The oats flowing from jar to wooden bowl are not just cereal, but grains of solidified sun. Each grain grew, absorbing solar light, celestial rain, terrestrial nutrients, a small capsule of cosmic energy about to be transformed into sustenance. The rhythmic sound of falling oats is primordial percussion, humanity's first musical instrument, the sound of abundance being shared. The water added comes not just from well, but from deep aquifers that filter through millennial geological layers. Each drop carried minerals from Earth's heart, was purified by stone patience, blessed by the sacred darkness of depths. When it touches the oats, it is not just hydrating grains, but marrying primordial elements, earth and water, solidity and fluidity, form and transformation. The fireplace contains not common fire, but sacred flame that never completely extinguished. At some subliminal level, these flames descend from fires lit by the cottage's first inhabitants, an unbroken, igneous lineage connecting present to distant past. Each twig feeding the fire was chosen carefully, naturally dried wood, not forced, offering its energy back to earth through combustion's alchemical transformation. The flames dance in patterns following ancient laws of beauty and efficiency. There is no wasted movement. Each tongue of fire seeks oxygen with the wisdom of millions of years of evolution. The colors that emerge, deep gold, ethereal blue, pulsing red, are the same that hypnotized the first humans, awakening genetic memories of ancestral nights, when fire was the frontier between civilization and wild nature. The radiating heat does not just warm air, but penetrates wall stones, which become thermal batteries accumulating comfort to release slowly through the night. It is a heating system that understands time, not the rush of immediate gratification, but the patience of preparation, investment in future well-being. The shadows projected by flames are not mere light effects, but primordial theatre. On stone walls, silhouettes dance, telling wordless stories, creating ancestral cinema where each observer can project their own internal narratives. It is entertainment that does not dull the mind, but gently stimulates it, inviting contemplation, creative reverie. The copper kettle is more than utensil. It is a musical instrument tuned by experience. The metal was shaped by an artisan who understood not just functionality, but acoustics. When the water inside heats, the kettle does not just inform that it is ready. It sings, each tone, a note in a domestic symphony that has repeated for generations. The copper itself carries alchemical properties. Venus's metal, planet of love and harmony. It is no coincidence that copper utensils make culinary preparations more flavorful. The metal lends its Venusian qualities to food, infusing it with nutritive energy that goes beyond minerals and vitamins. The iron grate on which the kettle rests was forged when the moon was in favorable conjunction, the iron tempered with running spring water. Each hammer blow imprinted intentions of durability and loving service. Now, decades later, the metal still resonates with these intentions, transforming each use into a small ritual of gratitude. The sound of heating water is symphonic progression. First, tiny bubbles whispering secrets at the kettle's bottom. Then, a growing murmur like distant conversations. Finally, the gentle humming that announces complete transformation of cold water into sacred vapor. The tea tin is modest reliquary guarding botanical treasures. When the lid opens, not just aromas escape, but alchemical essences. Chamomile to calm interior storms, mint to awaken gentle mental clarity, lemon balm to invoke prophetic dreams. These are not just dried plants, but sacred pharmacy where each leaf is medicine for soul as much as body. The chamomile was harvested during waning moon, when its sedative properties are at peak. The small flowers seem like miniature suns, carrying solar energy transformed into lunar peace. Each dried flower is perfect mandala, its radiant geometry encoding information about harmony and balance that the body recognizes instantly. The mint grows wild at garden edges, choosing its own power places. Its leaves were not just dried but cured, a process allowing the plant to concentrate its mentholated essences at maximum potency. The mentholated aroma does not just refresh, but awakens neurological centers associated with clarity and gentle focus. The lemon balm, queen of calming herbs, was harvested at dawn when dew still kissed its leaves. Known as bee balm or Melissa officinalis, it carries millennial reputation as balm for wounded hearts and agitated minds. Its dried leaves maintain subtle citric aroma, evoking memories of paradisiacal gardens. The blue and white ceramic teapot is not mere container, but alchemical vessel where transformation happens. The colors are not decorative. Blue represents spiritual depth, white symbolizes purity of intention. The small hand-painted flowers are more than ornaments. They are symbols of growth, renewal, beauty emerging from simplicity. The ceramic was molded on potter's wheel that turned hundreds of thousands of times, each rotation polishing not just clay, but the artisan's intentions. The original clay came from local riverbed, carrying minerals that connect the teapot to the place's sacred geology. When fired in the kiln, heat not just hardened clay, but transformed earth into art. The painted flowers were applied by brush made from naturally collected squirrel hairs, never harming the animal. Each brushstroke carried not just paint, but meditation. The artist entered contemplative state, where hand, brush, and surface became one thing, creating beauty through union between creator and creation. Outside, the sky does not just change color. It participates in daily cosmic ritual where light and shadow dance the eternal waltz of transition. The gold is not mere color, but vibrational frequency resonating with heart chakras, awakening feelings of gratitude and contentment. The pink that emerges is not atmospheric accident, but result of sunlight filtered through microscopic crystals suspended in air. Each particle a natural prism creating divine spectacle. The shadows growing inside the cottage do not bring darkness, but sacred intimacy. Each corner that darkens becomes contemplative niche, space for mind to rest from visual stimuli and dive into subtler perceptions. Diminishing exterior light awakens interior vision, inviting consciousness to turn toward internal riches. Lighting the beeswax candle is shamanic act disguised as domestic gesture. The flame that is born is not just combustion, it is portal between dimensions. Point where matter transforms into light and heat, where dense becomes ethereal. The wick is not mere cord, but ladder between worlds, conducting energy from solid wax to fire's luminous realm. Beeswax carries hexagonal memories of perfect cones, sacred geometries created by insects that understand divine mathematics intuitively. Each wax molecule was once nectar transformed by bees' internal alchemy, process converting floral sweetness into substance capable of preserving light. When it burns, it releases not just perfume, but essences of 1,000 flowers visited by winged collectors. Candlelight does not just illuminate, it reveals. Its golden yellow frequency resonates with ancient wisdom, activating ancestral memories of nights spent around fire when stories were transmitted, wisdom shared, souls connected by universal experience of luminous contemplation. The kettle begins its song, not noise, but ancestral domestic music. The initial murmur is like breath of sleeping dragon slowly awakening. As temperature rises, harmonics add to the melody, bubbles dancing in chaotic patterns, following physical laws as beautiful as music of spheres. The growing sound does not disturb, it calms, like rain on roof or waves on distant beach. It is frequency resonating with body's internal rhythms, synchronizing heartbeats, regulating breathing, inducing physiological coherence where all bodily systems enter harmony. When the kettle finally sings its conclusion note, it is not alarm, but gentle announcement. Transformation is complete. Water has become vapor. The ritual may proceed. Stirring the oats is meditation in movement. The wooden spoon, polished by years of loving use, becomes arm's extension, which becomes intention's expression, which becomes care's manifestation. Each circular movement creates miniature vortex, pattern echoing from spiral galaxies to hegel DNA fundamental geometry, connecting simple act of stirring food to creation's deepest patterns. The transforming oats change not just consistency, but essential nature. Hard grains soften, releasing starches that convert to nutritive creaminess. It is culinary alchemy where simple elements, grains, water, heat, time conspire to create sustenance, nourishing not just body, but sense of well-being, transcending mere physical satiety. The emerging aroma is not just smell, it is sensorial invitation, awakening digestive systems, preparing body to receive nutrition, activating gustatory memories of comfort and care. It is perfume connecting present moment to ancestral lineage of women who made same preparation with same loving intention. Pouring hot water over dried leaves is act of botanical resurrection. Water, transformed to vapor by dance with fire, meets plants sleeping in temporal suspension, awakening them for final essence offering. It is not extraction, it is voluntary liberation. Plants surrendering their alchemical treasures to nourish those who honor them with attention and gratitude. The sound of water touching ceramic is sacred percussion, first note of gustatory symphony that will unfold in coming minutes. Each drop carries transformative heat, awakening dormant oils in leaves, releasing compounds synthesized by plant through photosynthesis, captured sunlight, converted to liquid medicine. The linen cloth covering the pot does not just maintain heat, it creates. Transformation chamber, where vapor and essence marry in alchemical union. The blue flower embroidery is not decorative. These are protection symbols, intention marks, blessing infusion process with growth and renewal energy. Sitting at the oak table is occupying position at domestic altar, where nutrition becomes sacrament. The wood, cut from centennial tree that witnessed generations of climate changes and seasons, maintains in its annual rings records of rains and droughts, harsh winters and generous summers. Touching its polished surface connects with deep time, with arboreal patience transforming decades into millimeter by millimeter growth. The embroidered cloth, does not just protect surface, it creates sacred space where eating transcends biological necessity to become gratitude ritual. Each embroidered stitch was miniature meditation, moment where needle, thread, and fabric united under guidance of hands, understanding that creating beauty is prayer in action. Through the window, the garden reveals itself as living mandala painted with liquid light. The lavender does not just sway, it dances in choreography prescribed by ancestral winds. Each movement releasing aromatic molecules floating through open window to bless interior with tranquility essences. Purple stems are not mere plants. They are antennas capturing terrestrial and cosmic frequencies, transforming them into perfume instantly calming nervous system. Bees still working are not just insects, they are winged alchemists participating in sacred economy. Where nectar transforms to honey, pollen becomes wax. Individual work serves collective hive. Their buzzing is not noise, it is natural mantra, frequency resonating with human energy centers, inducing states of calm alertness where mind quiets but remains conscious. Holding cup with both hands is not just posture, it is gesture of sacred receiving, way of honoring, present being offered. Heat spreading through fingers does not just warm hands, but awakens acupuncture points connecting extremities to heart, creating energy circuit harmonizing entire circulatory system. The first sip transcends tasting. It is communion with garden, with seasons that nurtured plants, with ancestral knowledge of which leaves heal which afflictions. Chamomile touches brain receptors governing anxiety, not through violent chemistry, but gentle persuasion, inviting nervous system to relax through cellular memory of peaceful afternoons and restorative sleeps. Mint awakens, paradoxically, through refreshment. Its menthol activates thermal sensors, sending relief signals to brain, creating mental clarity sensation without agitation. Lemon balm, wise among herbs, modulates neurotransmitters related to mood, elevating spirit without artificial euphoria, inducing contentment born from interior harmony. Each spoonful of oats is more than nutrition. It is communion with earth that nurtured it, with sun that gilded its grains, with rains that watered it. Honey serpentining, golden through creaminess, is not just sweetener, it is concentrated work of thousands of bees, each drop representing hundreds of flowers, visited kilometers, flown, days of dedicated labor. The creamy texture on tongue awakens ancestral memories of childhood's first solid foods, connecting present experience with primordial sensations of security and care. It is food nourishing not through volume, but vibrational quality. Slowly grown grains absorb more solar energy, develop nutritional complexity, satisfying deep hunger, not just superficial appetite. Washing utensils is not chore, it is ceremony of gratitude and renewal. Warm water, heated by same flame that cooked food, carries fire energy transformed into cleansing and purification agent. Each hand movement in washing is gesture honoring objects that served well, preparing them for future service through loving care. The linen towel drying utensils absorbs not just moisture, but energetic impurities accumulated during use, leaving bowl and cup not just physically clean, but vibrationally neutral, ready to absorb again intentions of nutrition and care. Folding tablecloth with geometric precision is not obsession, it is mindfulness, exercise moment where mind focuses totally on simple tasks, creating meditative state, clearing mental noise, and preparing consciousness for next phase of evening ritual. Exterior light does not simply diminish, it participates in cosmic dance, where solar photons yield space to stellar radiation, where visible frequencies are gradually replaced by subtler spectrums, Violet tinging sky is not just color, it is frequency resonating with crown chakra, preparing human consciousness for altered states, facilitating sleep transition. Crescent moon on horizon is not mere satellite, it is natural regulator of biological rhythms. Its silver light stimulating melatonin production, hormone governing sleep-wake cycles. Its sky presence is ancestral signal, awakening genetic memories of nights spent in harmony with natural cycles. Tending fire is not maintenance, it is participation in ritual connecting present moment to unbroken chain of human fires extending to civilization's dawn. Each added twig carries continuity, intention, promise that light and heat will remain available through darkness. Chosen woods are not random naturally falling branches, seasoned by time until reaching perfect moisture for clean and efficient combustion. Each wood type offers specific qualities: oak for lasting heat, birch for bright flames, fruit woods for aromas, perfuming environment with essences of distant orchards. Lighting additional candles does not just increase luminosity, it creates domestic constellation where each light point resonates with others in visual and energetic harmony. Strategic candle placement follows intuitive sacred geometry, positioning light sources at points maximizing both functionality and beauty. Flame in bedroom does not just illuminate, it sanctifies rest space, transforming common dormitory into sacred chamber where nocturnal renewal can happen in psychic and spiritual security. Light in kitchen keeps house, heart symbolically warm, ensuring nutritive energy continues circulating even when culinary activities cease. The favorite armchair is not mere furniture. It is contemplation throne, privileged observation post, where interior life can flourish without interruption, positioned to capture both fire and candlelight. It creates perfect microenvironment for soul-nourishing activities, reading, meditation, manual work, harmonizing mind and hands. The floral cushion does not just decorate, it creates surface, connecting human body with natural patterns, constantly reminding that we are part of existence's greater garden. Fabric was dyed with dyes extracted from flowers grown in this same earth, creating perfect circle where garden nurtures house, house shelters garden. Knitting needles in hands are not mere instruments, they are conductor wands of ancestral feminine energy, tangible connection with unbroken lineage of women who transformed threads into protection, love into texture, patience into lasting beauty. Polished wood of needles maintains warmth from their creator's hands. Artisan who understood tools can be soul extensions. The shawl in progress is not just future garment. It is textile mandala being woven stitch by stitch. Each loop a prayer, each row meditation on continuity and transformation. Blue-gray color was not casual choice. It is tone, echoing storm skies, bringing nutritive rain. Wisdom color coming from traversing difficulties with grace. Wool between fingers carries complete story. Sheep grazing in fields where druids walked. Wind blowing through wool while still growing on woolly backs. Skilled hands that sheared, spun, dyed with knowledge passed mother to daughter through countless generations. The click, click, click rhythm of needles is not noise. It is shamanic, drum-inducing gentle trance. Repetitive frequency synchronizing brainwaves with calm alert states where creativity flows effortlessly. Each needle strike echoes, resting heartbeat, deep breathing, steps walking familiar path. Each created stitch does not exist in isolation. It connects to previous and subsequent ones in interdependent network mirroring. Cosmic web where all things relate. Knitting act becomes living metaphor for how individual moments interweave, creating life's larger narrative. how seemingly small choices accumulate into significant destinies. Wool, tension, neither too loose nor too tight, requires sensitivity developed through years of practice. Touch, extending beyond fingers to become intuition about balance in all life areas. It is bodily lesson about finding middle way between rigid control and excessive permissiveness. Pattern emerging in fabric reveals itself gradually, like life revealing meaning through time. One cannot see complete design at once. It requires faith that individual stitches contribute to greater beauty, manifesting through patient persistence and process trust. Outside, night weaves its own layered symphony. Calling owl is not solitary bird, but ceremony master announcing shift change between diurnal and nocturnal creatures. Its hoot echoes through valley, answered by other owls in territorial conversation, establishing harmony in nocturnal hierarchy. Small creatures rustling in hedges do not make accidental noise. They participate in complex nocturnal economy where each sound has meaning. Warning, courtship, food seeking, territory establishment. It is language predating human words. Communication through frequency and rhythm awakening. Genetic memories when our ancestors also participated in this nocturnal conversation. Wind in trees does not blow randomly. It follows meteorological patterns established by dance between temperature and pressure, creating air currents, transporting seeds, pollen, aromas, and chemical messages between plants in communication network, transforming forest into single, conscious organism. Clock tick-tock on mantel shelf does not just mark temporal passage, it synchronizes domestic life with greater cosmic rhythms. Each beat is note in temporal symphony connecting human seconds to geological eras, individual moments to eternal cycles of birth, growth, death, and rebirth. Interior mechanism, fed by weights, slowly descending due to gravity, transforms universe's fundamental force into useful measurement for daily life. It is machine making, visible and audible, one of invisible forces governing existence. Constant attraction, maintaining planets in orbit, oceans in movement, life in flux. Shadows projected by oscillating flames are not mere visual effects. They are archetypal forms. Theater awakening imagination without overwhelming it. Each dancing silhouette on walls evokes primordial shapes, swaying trees, moving animals, human figures in eternal gestures of work and contemplation. This dance of light and shadow activates brain centers associated with pattern recognition, stimulating creativity through visual stimuli rich enough to inspire, but subtle enough not to distract from interior tranquility necessary for deep relaxation. Melting candle wax is not waste. It is offering beams made to human well-being. Transformation of collective work into individual light. Each dripping drop carries essence of flowers visited during wax production. Lavender from nearby fields, clover from distant meadows, wildflowers whose names were forgotten but essences remain. Intensified perfume of heated wax does not just scent air, it subtly alters atmospheric chemistry, releasing compounds having documented calming effect on human nervous system. It is ancestral aromatherapy, predating scientific knowledge of essential oils, but no less effective for its simplicity. Slow shawl progress becomes repository of night's memories. Each stitch carries energetic traces of moment that was created, of knitter's mental state, of light quality illuminating work. When shawl is finished, it will be not just clothing piece, but textile map of hundreds of accumulated piece moments. Movement repetition creates altered consciousness state similar to monks. Walking meditation, simple and repetitive physical activity, freeing mind to wander contemplative territories normally inaccessible during active waking. It is portal to wisdom, emerging not from thinking, but from thinking's relaxation. Time in Cottage is not linear. It is circular, spiral, cyclical, like breathing or heartbeat. Each moment contains echoes of similar moments lived in same space. Other women knitting in same chair. Other flames dancing in same fireplace. Other nights descending over same garden with same ethereal quality. There is no pressure for measurable productivity, just total presence in current moment, allowing each action to be complete in itself, instead of means to external end. It is way of being honoring process as much as product, journey as much as destination. Refilling teapot is not repetition, it is renewal, opportunity to deepen ritual through conscious repetition. Second infusion of same leaves releases different flavor and property layers. Trapped tannins are liberated. Deeper essences emerge, transforming familiar drink into new gustatory experience. Pause to drink allows fingers to rest, but also creates contemplative spaces where mind can digest not just liquid, but night's accumulated experience. These are necessary interludes preventing activity from becoming mechanical, maintaining sacred quality through renewed attention. Garden transformation under moonlight reveals hidden dimension of familiar landscape. Plants seeming common in sunlight reveal mystical qualities under silver radiation. Lavender becomes even more aromatic, its cells releasing essential oils responding to nocturnal freshness. Roses close petals in perfect geometry, conserving essences for following morning. Moonlight does not just illuminate, it activates specific biological processes in plants. Some flowers open only at night. Others initiate cellular healing processes. Still others begin synthesis of compounds creatable only in direct solar radiation's absence. Garden plants await nocturnal, do not just as moisture source, but as delivery of condensed atmospheric minerals. Each drop forming before dawn carries traces of sea salt transported by oceanic winds, pollen from distant flowers, micronutrients suspended in atmosphere. It is distilled rain nourishing garden with essences collected from kilometers away. This nocturnal hydration process allows plants to perform cellular cleansing, eliminating toxins accumulated during diurnal photosynthesis, preparing for new growth cycle beginning with first solar rays. Gradual decrease of external activity allows perception to turn toward internal rhythms normally masked by day's stimuli. Heartbeat becomes audible. Breathing naturally deepens. Muscles progressively relax, releasing unconsciously accumulated tensions. It is a refined tuning process where body and mind gradually align with slower and deeper frequencies, preparing internal systems for nocturnal regeneration happening only when nervous system changes from sympathetic, active, to parasympathetic, restorative mode. Growing shawl becomes personal mandala, physical representation of knitter's internal state. Each imperfection reveals distraction moment. Each uniform section indicates mental peace period. Each subtle pattern change marks emotional or spiritual transition lived during creation. There is no urgency to complete creation journey, is as valuable as final product. It is meditation one can pick up and put down, contemplative process adapting to natural rhythms of energy and attention without forcing artificial productivity. Storing knitting work is not interruption, it is ceremonial conclusion of night's phase. Conscious transition from activity to receptivity, from doing to being. Needles inserted in fabric create pause point, not ending. Allowing creative energy to rest while maintaining potential for continuation. Careful material organization prepares energetic space for next session, demonstrating respect for creative process and confidence in its continuity. It is act of faith in future. Silent promise, there will be other nights, other peace moments, other opportunities to create beauty through patience. Extinguishing each candle does not just quench flame, it transforms physical light into interior light, external into internal. Small breath or snuffer touch creates conscious transition moment, opportunity to thank light that served faithfully, honor silent work of wax consumed for illumination benefit. Briefly arising smoke carries unverbalized prayers, gratitude for tranquil night, requests for restorative sleeps, intentions for following dawn. It is spontaneous incense connecting present moment to ancestral traditions of aromatic offerings. Preparing fire for night is ritual of trust and foresight. Covering coals with ash does not kill fire, it protects its essence, allows it to sleep without dying, maintains renewal potential for following morning. It is metaphor for how vital energy can be conserved during apparent inactivity periods. Art of banking fire requires intimate knowledge about combustion behavior. How much ash is protection? How much is suffocation? How to organize with allowing adequate breathing without permitting excessive flames. How to read signs that fire is sleeping healthily instead of dying. Bedroom is not simply sleeping space, it is sanctuary for renewal. Chamber where consciousness can release moorings with diurnal world and dive into oneric dimensions where healing happens at levels inaccessible during waking. Each element was positioned to maximize restorative energy, bed-oriented according to cardinal points. Window allowing pure air circulation, furniture arranged to facilitate harmonious energetic flow. Quilts covering bed are not just blankets, they are textile mandalas created by generations of women, each patch carrying memory of dress worn on special occasion. Curtain filtering light in beloved window, tablecloth witnessing family celebrations. It is textile archive of personal and collective history. Linen nightgown is not just nocturnal clothing, it is second skin allowing body to breathe during sleep. Fabric absorbing moisture without retaining heat. Natural fiber maintaining stable body temperature through night. Linen was cultivated, harvested, and processed following lunar rhythms, maximizing its therapeutic properties. Braiding hair is not vanity, it is organization, ritual, symbolically ordering thoughts for night. Creating physical structure, echoing psychological need to arrange day's experiences before delivering them to sleep's oneric processing. Opening window does not just allow fresh air entry, it creates portal between domestic interior and infinite cosmos, allowing house energy to mix with universe energy, in exchange nourishing both. Entering air carries negative ions generated by plants during nocturnal breathing, oxygen purified by vegetable processes, aromas connecting sleeper to natural cycles, sounds penetrating through window, owl leaves, distant water do not disturb sleep, but enrich it, providing natural soundtrack, maintaining subconscious mind connected to terrestrial rhythms during nocturnal. Journey through oneric dimensions. Chest at bed's foot does not just guard objects, it preserves memories crystallized in material form. Each stored item carries history, letters from old loves, photographs of dear people, inherited fabrics, small treasures anchoring happiness moments, intangible objects, revisitable through touch. Small table is not mere furniture, it is personal altar where daily sacred objects rest. Clock measuring personal time, candle transforming darkness into coziness. Perhaps books serving as companion for imaginary journeys. Water glass symbolizing careful preparation for night's needs. Window does not just frame garden. It transforms exterior landscape into living art, constantly changing, but maintaining essential elements. Trees that are permanent landmarks, sky that is infinite canvas, moon that is pointer on cosmic clock. It is picture never repeating, exactly same composition, offering new contemplation with each glance. Linen sheets do not just cover mattress, they create interface between human body and physical support, allowing skin to breathe while maintaining adequate thermal insulation. Linen was woven on loom, operated by hands, understanding that sleep quality depends on material quality, touching body during nocturnal vulnerability. Careful bed preparation in mourning is not domestic obsession. It is active respect for sacred space where renewal happens. Intentional preparation, honoring sleep's importance in daily life's spiritual economy. Down-filled pillows do not just elevate head, they create support cloud, allowing neck muscles to completely relax, releasing tensions accumulated during day of sustaining weight of thoughts and worries. Feathers were collected without harming birds, seasonal process respecting natural cycles of plumage renewal. Lying in bed is active surrender, conscious delivery of diurnal control to night's regenerative forces. Body does not simply position horizontally, it assumes posture of total receptivity, allowing gravity to realign bones and muscles, circulation to redistribute, nervous system to change from alert to restorative mode. Surrounding walls do not just protect from external elements, they create energetic field where healing can happen without interference, where sleep's vulnerability is guarded by stone solidity, witnessing hundreds of years of peaceful nights, thousands of restorative sleeps, countless moments of silent renewal. Thatched roof is not mere covering. It is permeable membrane, allowing energetic exchanges with cosmos, while maintaining physical protection, filtering external influences through natural material, still maintaining connection with earth from which it grew. Moonlight, filtering through curtains, arrives not as intrusion, but as silver blessing. Luminous frequency, synchronizing internal rhythms with ancestral cosmic cycles. Each ray carries information about tides, about plant growth, about appropriate moments for rest and regeneration. It is not light that awakens, it is light that cradles, inviting deep dive into interior oceans where real healing happens. Patterns dancing on floor are not random. They follow sacred geometry created by interaction between lunar light and curtain fabric. Temporary mandala existing only in this moment, only for you. Unique gift offered by convergence of natural and artificial elements in perfect harmony. Night sounds continue their timeless symphony. Each owl hoot is note in cosmic score executed since first humans lay under starry sky. Each leaf whisper is verse in planetary poem connecting your rest to rest of all terrestrial life. Cottage breathes around you with rhythm preceding and transcending human breathing. It is geological breathing, almost imperceptible expansion and contraction happening when natural materials respond to temperature and humidity changes, reminding that even apparently solid structures participate in universal dance of movement and change. Your breathing deepens not through effort, but through natural invitation from environment conspiring for your rest. Oxygen entering your lungs was purified by garden plants, enriched by vegetable processes continuing invisible during night. Silent offering from green world to animal world in exchange sustaining both. Knitting needles, rhythm still echoes gently in auditory memory. Click, 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 not as noise, but as mantra, inducing coherent state, where heart, mind, and breathing found perfect synchronization. This rhythm now gradually dissolves into even deeper frequency of your resting heartbeat, sound accompanying you since first moment of life and accompanying you until last. Lavender perfume persisting in nocturnal air is not just aroma, it is aromatic. Medicine activating brain centers responsible for tranquility, reducing cortisol production, stimulating natural endorphin release, promoting well-being sensation transcending mere physical relaxation. Cottage rests around you like maternal cosmic embrace. Architecture, understanding human needs deeper than shelter, need for belonging, for existential security, for connection with something greater than isolated individuality. These stones witnessed births and deaths, celebrations and mournings, ordinary and extraordinary of human experience, absorbing into their mineral fibers wisdom of living fully. Thick walls do not just isolate temperature, they create energetic force field filtering chaotic influences from exterior world, allowing interior energy to find its natural frequency without interference. It is acoustic isolation, not just for ears, but for soul, space where internal noise can finally quiet. Time now moves in even more ancestral rhythm, measured not by seconds or minutes, but by breathing cycles, by deepening relaxation waves, by consciousness layers gently dissolving like morning mist touched by first solar rays. Night continues its sacred deepening. Moon proceeds its silent journey through celestial vault, carrying gravitational influences affecting not just distant oceans, but water in your own body, creating internal tides, facilitating cellular cleansing and renewal processes happening only during deep sleep. Stars shining beyond terrestrial atmosphere are not distant light points, but cosmic beacons reminding you are part of infinite universe, that your rest participates in universal rest, that your renewal connects to death and rebirth cycles governing entire galaxies. Allow yourself to sink deeper into this tranquility transcending time and space. There is nowhere you need to be beyond here, no moment more important than this, no task more sacred than allowing existence's regenerative forces to do their silent work through your being. You are safe here, not just physically, but existentially, protected not just by stone walls, but by ancestral love of all souls who found refuge in this same space, who slept under this same roof, who dreamed similar dreams to yours under influence of same moon, now observing you with eternal benevolence. You are welcome here, not as visitor, but as legitimate heir to peace tradition extending through generations, as current participant in lineage of human beings who understood that conscious rest is sacred act, that sleep surrender is form of prayer, that nocturnal renewal is sacrament connecting individual to universal. You are home, not just in this cottage, but in entire cosmos conspiring for your well-being. Home in time that brought you to this perfect moment of rest. Home in space, offering exactly refuge your soul needs. Home in existence, sustaining you with unconditional love, even when you are not conscious of receiving it. Your breathing's gentle rhythm now echoes planetary life's eternal rhythm, slow, steady, natural like tides, rising and falling, like seasons succeeding each other, like sun rising and setting in dance, knowing no hurry nor anxiety, just perpetual flow of energy through ever-renewed forms. Rest now in deep certainty you are exactly where you need to be. Sleep in confidence that force is greater than conscious comprehension. Care for your well-being while consciousness travels through etheric dimensions, where true healing happens, where wisdom integrates, where love renews. Cottage will continue its silent vigil, faithful guardian protecting your dreams as it protected countless others' dreams. Morning will arrive in its perfect time, but for now there exists only peace, only rest, only gentle embrace of deep and restorative sleep. Now, let sleep gently embrace you, carrying you into dreams as peaceful as this cottage, as gentle as this night, as eternal as this moment of absolute tranquility transcending time, space, and all worries belonging to diurnal world, but having no place in this nocturnal sanctuary of infinite renewal.